If you are over 60, chances are that right now in your refrigerator, there's something that has long been praised as healthy food. Yet this very item might quietly increase the risk of stroke while you sleep, without chest pain or any warning signs. One moment you feel fine, and the next you are unable to speak clearly, raise your arm, or keep your balance. As a neurologist, I have witnessed this scenario far too often, not because people smoke or consume fast food, but because they ate a certain vegetable. Yes, a vegetable that triggers a dangerous chain reaction in the body of an elderly person. Throughout our lives, we have been told, eat more greens. Vegetables are medicine. But here is what no one tells you. For older adults, some vegetables, especially when eaten at the wrong time or combined with common medications, can increase the chances of brain hemorrhages, blood clots, and sudden blood pressure spikes. Today I will reveal 9 common vegetables that might harm the brain, and share how to eat wisely without giving up your favorites. Believe me, the last vegetable on this list, consumed weekly by almost every senior, could be the most hazardous. Before we begin, if you are not yet subscribed to the Spirit Power channel, be sure to click the subscription button and the bell to avoid missing new health tips. If you find this video helpful, please leave a comment with the number 1. If not, type 0 so we know how to improve our content. The first vegetable is spinach, a deceptive companion to your brain. For decades, we have believed that spinach is among the healthiest foods available. It contains abundant iron, magnesium, and fiber. People add it to salads, green smoothies, and meals prepared for seniors across the country. However, the truth might surprise you. For individuals over 65 years old, spinach, especially when consumed at the wrong time or combined with supplements, can pose a hidden danger to the brain. What causes this? As we grow older, our blood vessels lose their flexibility. What was once soft and supple becomes stiff and narrow. Moreover, the intake of calcium, vitamin D, and blood pressure medications adds to this vulnerability. Now introduce spinach, which is rich in oxalates, compounds that bind with calcium. In young and healthy people, oxalates are flushed out without issue. But in older adults, particularly those with reduced kidney function, or those taking vitamin D and calcium, oxalates begin to accumulate. They form calcium oxalate crystals in the bloodstream, which may lead to the calcification of vessels, especially the tiny capillaries supplying the brain. The narrowing of these vessels raises the risk of microstrokes, minor blockages that deprive the brain of oxygen. If a clot shifts or enlarges, it can cause an ischemic stroke. One morning, you might wake up unable to say your spouse's name or lift your arm. Allow me to share the story of my patient Harold Brenner, a retired 76-year-old firefighter from Milwaukee. He was very exacting about his health routine. Every evening he consumed a spinach salad with feta cheese and whole grain toast. He was taking vitamin D and calcium to strengthen his bones, or so he believed. For many years he thought he was doing everything correctly. But one winter morning, he woke up changed forever. They found him at the kitchen table, spilled coffee around him, and speech slurred. He had suffered a silent stroke during sleep. No pain, no headache, just a sudden loss of speech and control over his movements. The scan revealed narrowed and calcified brain vessels, and blood tests showed elevated calcium and oxalate levels. The combination was alarming. What triggered this? Evening salads with spinach combined with supplements. For many months, his body silently created ideal conditions for a clot to form. Eventually, it developed in a critical spot. Harold survived, but no longer drives and can only walk with assistance. The hardest part was when he tearfully told me, "Doctor, I only wanted to do everything right. I did not know spinach could harm me." This serves as a harsh reminder. Even healthy habits can turn dangerous if we do not adjust them according to our age and health condition. Here is my advice. If you take calcium, vitamin D, or suffer from kidney or heart problems, eat spinach only in the morning and only after consulting your doctor. Do not pair it with supplements unless medically prescribed. And please, do not assume that more greens always mean better health, especially after 65. If this surprises you, wait for what comes next. We will soon talk about broccoli, a vegetable everyone trusts. Beneficial for the heart, yet in elderly individuals it can lead to brain hemorrhages. Broccoli is known as a second heart ally, but not for everyone. From childhood, we have been told to eat broccoli. It stands as a symbol of health, rich in fiber, antioxidants, and vitamins. Indeed, broccoli contains compounds that support heart health, reduce inflammation, and boost the immune system. But what if I tell you that for seniors, especially those taking heart medications, broccoli might become a hidden danger to the brain. The issue lies not in the vegetable itself, but in how its elements interact with an aging body and the medicines many older adults rely on daily. Broccoli is abundant in vitamin K, a fat-soluble nutrient essential for blood clotting. In younger people, it promotes wound healing. However, in older adults, particularly those on anticoagulants like warfarin, Plavix, or aspirin, vitamin K can cause a risky imbalance. When consumed in large or inconsistent amounts, vitamin K may weaken the effect of these medications, making the blood either too thick or too thin, without any warning signs until it is too late. Let me share the story of my patient, Clarine Newton, an 82-year-old retired elementary school teacher from Pennsylvania. She always took good care of her health, followed her doctor's advice, and took her medications diligently. Every evening she steamed broccoli with olive oil and lemon. "This keeps my heart young," she used to say proudly. However, she was unaware that her daily habit, a regular portion of broccoli, was gradually and subtly interfering with her medication's effectiveness. Her blood clotting became unstable. Her INR, a measure of clotting, fluctuated unpredictably. One day, following a mild headache and sudden confusion, Clara lost consciousness right in her living room. At the hospital, a scan revealed a hemorrhagic stroke. The brain bleeding was not caused by injury or high blood pressure, but because her blood had become too thin to clot properly. The doctor's first question was whether her diet had changed. When her daughter mentioned broccoli, my heart sank. Not because broccoli is harmful, but because even healthy foods, if misunderstood or misused, can disturb the fragile balance within the body. The combination of vitamin K and blood thinners sparked a silent storm with devastating consequences. Clara survived, yet now she relies on a walker and her speech has slowed. She shares her experience with other elderly people in her community, delivering a simple message. Do not assume that nutritious food is always harmless, especially not at our age. This is why consistency and awareness are crucial. Taking blood-thinning medication does not mean broccoli must be avoided entirely, but it must be consumed in steady amounts and always under medical supervision. Sudden fluctuations in vitamin K levels render the drugs ineffective, which can lead to life-threatening blood clots or brain hemorrhages. Either outcome can abruptly cost you your independence. Remember that as we age, our blood vessels become thinner and more fragile. A minor bleed might go unnoticed in a young body, but for someone over 70, it can lead to loss of speech, memory, or even the ability to live independently. If you are hearing this and thinking, "I eat broccoli all the time and take blood-thinning medicines," do not panic. Instead, take action. Call your doctor. Get tested for Indian rupees. Keep a food diary. Never assume that a heart-healthy diet suits everyone equally, especially after 60. If Clara's story has alarmed you, that is understandable. The intention is not to scare, but to warn, because next, we will discuss something seemingly harmless. A vegetable that is refreshing and light, yet it can quietly dehydrate your brain overnight and disrupt your blood pressure while you sleep. Yes, it is romaine lettuce, and what you will learn next may surprise you even more. Romaine lettuce is low in calories but risky at night. If you are over 65, chances are someone has suggested a light dinner, a salad instead of heavy food, fewer calories, easier digestion, benefits for the heart. It all sounds reasonable, especially if you monitor your weight and blood pressure. However, there is one important fact that most older adults have never been told. A nighttime serving of romaine lettuce can quietly cause a stroke by morning. Why is that? Let's explore. Romaine lettuce contains a lot of water and fiber, but is also a natural diuretic, which means it gently promotes fluid removal from the body. For young people, and in a well-hydrated individual, this is almost unnoticeable. However, in older adults, especially those who take blood pressure or diuretic medications, even slight dehydration can have serious consequences, particularly during the night. Many assume dehydration feels like thirst, dry mouth, or tiredness, but as we age, the body sends much weaker signals. We simply don't experience thirst as clearly as before. Our blood vessels, especially in the brain, depend on proper fluid levels to remain flexible and deliver oxygen to tissues. At night, even mild dehydration causes blood to thicken. Imagine not water, but syrup flowing through old fragile pipes. Thickened blood is much more likely to form tiny clots, especially in people with arrhythmia, atherosclerosis, or those taking multiple medications at once. These clots might not cause immediate symptoms, but any slight change in blood pressure can send a clot to the brain, blocking oxygen flow. This is exactly what happened to my patient, Harold Carter, aged 75, a former factory worker from Indianapolis. Generally healthy, he took blood pressure medication and tried to maintain a balanced diet. Every night he prepared a large salad with romaine lettuce, cucumbers, and vinegar dressing. He avoided heavy meals, walked daily, and was an active church member. Yet one morning his wife found him confused, slurring words, and with weakness in his right hand. He had suffered a mild stroke in his sleep. Tests revealed mild dehydration and increased blood viscosity, and shifts in electrolyte balance are enough to trigger clot formation. While lying in the hospital room, Harold told me, "I thought I was doing everything right. I never imagined that salad could be harmful. This is a tragic scenario and occurs far more frequently than you might believe, especially among those who pair evening salads with blood pressure medication or follow a low-sodium diet, which already reduces fluid retention." Romaine lettuce itself is not malicious, yet at the wrong moment and under inappropriate conditions, it can become the final straw the brain cannot tolerate. It is crucial to remember that your body at 70 is not the same as at 40. Even slight fluid losses due to food, medications, or skipping water at night can alter blood composition. The brain, which depends on stable blood flow, suffers first. So what should you do? If you eat salads at dinner, make sure to drink water. Ideally, move the salad to lunchtime when your body is more active and better equipped to handle fluid elimination. Monitor your blood pressure carefully and be extra cautious if you take medications that remove fluid or lower blood pressure. Leon recovered, but it took months of speech therapy and rehabilitation. Later, he told me, "I wish I had known earlier that even healthy food requires rules once you are over 70. And that is precisely why I share this story. Not to scare you, but to equip you with knowledge. Because the next topic concerns things many consider harmless but are not. A tasty treat, but it can cause a sudden spike in blood sugar levels and disrupt blood flow in the brain while you are sleeping. Yes, we are talking about raw carrots, and what you will hear might completely change how you view your usual evening snacks. The fourth raw carrot is a hidden spike for the brain. At first glance, raw carrots seem like the perfect snack. Crispy, slightly sweet, low in calories, and rich in beta-carotene, which is good for eyesight. Many elderly people keep them in the fridge as a safe snack to nibble on in the evening in front of the TV instead of cookies or chips. However, here is the truth that most seniors are never told. Raw carrots, especially at the wrong time, can interfere with blood flow in the brain and increase the risk of stroke while you sleep. The issue is not with the carrot itself, but with how it affects blood sugar levels and insulin, and how this in turn impacts the brain's blood vessels in older adults. Although carrots have a moderate glycemic index, eating them raw and without anything else causes a rapid dose of carbohydrates. For young people with good insulin sensitivity, this does not cause problems. But for older individuals, especially those with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or impaired circulation, even a moderate rise in sugar can trigger a dangerous chain reaction. What happens? You eat the carrot in the evening. Within minutes, your blood sugar rises. The body responds by releasing insulin. However, in older adults, the insulin response is often delayed or excessively strong. This can cause a sudden drop in blood sugar during the night, commonly called nocturnal hypoglycemia. It might seem harmless at first glance, but it is not. When blood sugar plunges sharply during sleep, the body interprets this as stress and releases hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones constrict blood vessels, raise blood pressure, and thicken the blood. All these changes pose a serious threat to the brain of an elderly person whose arteries are already weakened. Along with dehydration, which often occurs overnight in seniors, these hormonal effects promote the formation of tiny blood clots that can trigger a stroke or a transient ischemic attack. This is exactly what happened to my patient, Layla Henderson, a 78-year-old former nurse from Portland. She was lively, energetic, and proud of her natural health, having completely eliminated sweets from her diet and snacking only on raw vegetables, especially carrots. She used to say with a smile, "This is my evening snack." However, it was not long before she began waking up in the mornings feeling slightly confused, dizzy, and with tingling in her arm. She attributed these symptoms to aging. Then, one morning she could not remember how to make her coffee, a ritual she had performed for 40 years. Her husband called an ambulance. The diagnosis was a minor yet real stroke caused by nighttime blood sugar fluctuations and vascular spasms. Tests revealed unstable glucose levels and early signs of insulin resistance, as well as microemboli in the brain's capillaries. She whispered to me, "I thought I was doing everything right. I could never have imagined that carrots might harm me." These words stayed with me forever. The key is not about the carrot itself, but how an aging body processes it differently, and how habits that served us well at 40 might betray us at 75. If you enjoy carrots, there's no need to panic. However, be wise. Never eat them alone or right before bedtime. It is better to pair them with protein or fat earlier in the day, for example, with hummus or a boiled egg. This combination slows the rise of sugar levels. Also, always discuss your evening snacks with your doctor, especially if you are taking medication for blood sugar, blood pressure, or cholesterol. Fortunately, Layla recovered, but losing her independence and trust in her otherwise healthy eating routine was a harsh lesson. Now she shares her experience with her neighbors at the retirement home, cautioning them about seemingly harmless habits that almost cost her everything. If you think only carrots can pose such risks, you are mistaken, because the next vegetable is even more powerful. In various cultures, it is revered, but for older adults, it can thin the blood so much that the slightest bleed could change life permanently. Yes, we are talking about garlic, and the truth about it might genuinely shock you. Garlic is a natural blood thinner with hazardous effects. For centuries, garlic has been celebrated as a miracle food. It has been used in traditional medicine due to its ability to lower blood pressure, reduce cholesterol, fight inflammation, and boost immunity. Many elderly individuals feel confident that adding fresh garlic to their meals or taking garlic supplements will help them maintain their health. They do a great service to their heart and blood vessels. However, there is a truth that hardly anyone mentions for elderly people, especially those on blood-thinning medications. Ordinary garlic can quietly lead to bleeding in the brain. One clove might seem harmless, but inside the body, where vessels are already fragile and the blood is thinner due to medication, garlic can transform protection into danger, and you will not realize it until it is too late. You see, garlic is a powerful natural anticoagulant. It prevents the formation of clots. This sounds like a positive effect. Yet if you are taking warfarin, Plavix, Xarelto, or even regular aspirin, garlic amplifies the impact of these drugs, making the blood excessively thin, which in elderly people with weakened brain vessels can become a disaster. Let me tell you about my patient, Thomas Reeve. He is 81 years old, a retired railroad engineer from Missouri, and the embodiment of independence. After a minor heart surgery, he was prescribed anticoagulants and strictly warned about possible interactions. But Thomas read an article about the healing power of garlic and decided to take garlic supplements daily, 600 milligrams of concentrate, and in the evenings, he added a raw clove to his dinner. He did not inform his doctor about this, not thinking it important. After 3 weeks, severe headaches and light sensitivity began. Then nausea and slurred speech followed. He was rushed to the hospital. The diagnosis was a hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding in the brain. The scan revealed a rupture in a tiny blood vessel that should have held, but his blood was too thin. When we examined the list of his medications and supplements, everything became clear. The issue was not only with the prescription pills. The main trigger turned out to be garlic. "I just wanted to help my heart," he told me during his recovery. His voice was faint. I did not realize how much harm I was causing myself. That is where the tragedy lies. He showed no warning signs, no chest pain, no falls, no blood pressure spikes. Only an invisible chemical change in his blood until one tiny vessel in the brain burst. This shows how fragile the balance becomes after 70 years. Just one wrong move is enough to cause irreversible damage. We must understand this. Blood vessels thin out and become more fragile as we age, especially when blood clotting is altered. Garlic supplements are much more concentrated than the garlic used in cooking, and this can easily be underestimated. Natural does not always mean safe, particularly when it interacts with powerful medications. This does not mean garlic is harmful, but it should be treated with the same caution as a drug from a pharmacy. If you are over 65, take blood thinners, or have already had a stroke or transient ischemic attack, make sure to consult a doctor before consuming large amounts of garlic or taking it as a supplement. Watch for signs such as bruising, dizziness, headaches, or unexplained weakness. Above all, never assume that natural always equals safe. The body after 70 operates quite differently. Thomas returned home but now requires constant assistance and suffers from short-term memory lapses. He represents many elderly individuals who aimed to do the right thing but did not realize that good intentions without oversight could lead to trouble. If you think only garlic hides such a risk, you are mistaken, because what follows concerns an even more common vegetable. It is found in almost every kitchen, yet it can disrupt heart rhythm, cause dizziness, and interfere with concentration unexpectedly. Yes, this is about the onion. What you are about to learn might forever change the way you cook. The onion and its impact on falling blood pressure and increased danger. Onion is one of the most common vegetables in Russian cooking. From soups to salads, it appears everywhere. It is affordable, flavorful, and rich in heart-healthy substances. Many seniors add it to their meals daily, considering it a wise and healthful choice. Often this is indeed true. However, for elderly people, especially those taking blood pressure medication or with cardiovascular illnesses, onion can quietly become a threat to brain health due to unpredictable blood pressure spikes, disrupted oxygen flow to the brain, and clot formation. It may seem strange that a vegetable known for anti-inflammatory and cholesterol-lowering qualities could cause harm. Yet everything depends on how it is consumed and under what circumstances. It interacts with age-related changes in blood vessels and with medications that already lower blood pressure or thin the blood. Onion contains quercetin, a powerful antioxidant and natural blood vessel dilator. This means it widens blood vessels and reduces pressure. That sounds beneficial, yet if you are already taking beta blockers or other blood pressure medications, you end up with a combined effect. The result is that your blood pressure drops too much, especially during the night when the body is at rest and most vulnerable. Many believe that low blood pressure is harmless, but in older adults it can mean reduced oxygen flow to the brain. In response, the body triggers vessel spasms to protect vital organs. However, these sudden constrictions may cause blood clots, particularly in arteries that are already narrowed or hardened. Let me share the story of my patient George Langston, 80 years old, a former high school football coach from Georgia. He always trusted in the power of nature. When prescribed beta blockers, he decided to enhance their effect naturally. Every evening for 2 months, he ate a large portion of raw onion in a salad with a vinegar dressing. He was convinced that the more, the better for his heart. At first, he felt great, more energetic, but then dizziness appeared in the mornings along with slight unsteadiness. One day he stood up too fast, fainted, and hit his shoulder on the table. The following morning, he could not remember the day or speak clearly. His wife called an ambulance, and the diagnosis was an ischemic stroke. A clot blocked a blood vessel near the brain speech center. Monitoring revealed that his blood pressure at night dropped dangerously low, and then sharply rose in the morning. Doctors discovered that his diet, rich in onions combined with medications, caused excessive blood vessel dilation followed by an automatic constriction. These conditions created the perfect environment for a clot to form. Harold recovered after treatment, but he no longer drives and sometimes struggles to recall names. "I only wanted to help my heart," he said, "but I did not realize I was depriving my brain of oxygen. This is what I want you to remember. As we age, our bodies become extremely sensitive to fluctuations in pressure, sugar, and fluids. What was beneficial at 40 may become harmful at 75, especially if strong medications are involved. Onions can remain a healthy part of your diet, but if you take blood pressure medicine, avoid eating large amounts, especially raw and before bedtime. If you experience morning dizziness, mental fog, unexplained bruises, or quick fatigue, it might not be just aging, but a sharp drop in blood pressure during the night. Discuss this with your doctor and watch your diet closely. Be cautious with home remedies because your heart and brain do not always agree on what is good for you. If you think only onions among everyday foods can have such an impact on the brain, you are mistaken. Next, we will talk about what seemed to be a harmless and widely loved vegetable served at breakfast, in soups, and as a side dish. It is sweet and golden, but can increasing blood pressure, disrupting heart rhythm, and causing confusion without obvious signs. Yes, we are talking about corn. The story you are about to hear might make you rethink what graces your breakfast plate. Sweet and golden, corn appears harmless, yet it harbors hidden dangers. For many, corn represents comfort food. It is served at summer gatherings, boiled with butter for dinner, and added to soups and side dishes. Warm, familiar, and comforting. Many elderly people have consumed it throughout their lives, trusting it to be safe. But the truth is that corn, especially when eaten in certain forms and at specific times of the day, can quietly increase the risk of stroke during sleep. Why is that? Despite being classified as a vegetable, corn behaves more like a starch nutritionally. It contains a great deal of natural sugars that rapidly turn into glucose in the bloodstream. For older individuals, particularly those with early-stage insulin resistance, high blood pressure, or circulation problems, blood sugar spikes after meals are more than a mere inconvenience. They pose a direct threat to brain health. What happens inside the body when corn is consumed, especially in the evening? Initially, blood sugar rises sharply, triggering an insulin release. However, in elderly people, insulin effectiveness declines. Instead of a smooth decline, blood sugar drops precipitously, especially during sleep. In response, the body activates stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones constrict blood vessels and raise blood pressure to protect the body. Younger bodies can compensate for this, but after the age of 65, the ability diminishes. Especially in cases of atherosclerosis, these fluctuations in sugar levels and blood pressure can be extremely dangerous. Such stress triggers the formation of tiny clots in the brain's blood vessels. This is exactly what happened to my patient, Darlene Abbott, a 77-year-old former librarian from Iowa. She led a simple life, enjoyed reading books, attending church, and cooking at home. Every morning she ate cornmeal porridge with a spoonful of honey. At night, she had corn on the cob with butter and salt. The taste of childhood, she used to say. However, over time, Darlene began experiencing weakness in the mornings, dizziness, and mental fog. Her blood pressure was unstable. One day it was normal, the next it surged. Then one morning her husband found her in a stupor, her left side paralyzed and speech impaired. She had suffered a minor stroke. Tests revealed high fasting glucose, thickened blood, and damage in the brain's microcirculation. The cause was not only age, but also regular excessive consumption of corn, a starchy food with a high glycemic index, especially in the evening. This disrupted her blood sugar balance and promoted the formation of tiny blood clots. "I thought I was eating just like my mother," Darlene whispered with tears. "I never imagined something so harmless could harm me." The lesson here is not to eliminate corn entirely, but to understand how an aging body handles it. After the age of 65, the pancreas works more slowly and blood vessels become fragile. What once seemed harmless can now trigger a chain reaction that the body cannot stop in time. If you consume corn, grains, flakes, or corn on the cob, avoid eating them at night, especially on their own without any protein. Combine them with eggs, cottage cheese, or nuts. If you have diabetes, prediabetes, or take medication for blood pressure, it is vital to discuss this with your doctor. The brain does not forgive mistakes when blood vessels are already weakened. If you believe corn is the last food that could become dangerous as you age, you are mistaken because the next vegetable is subtle and refined. It is often praised for detoxification and lightness, but in reality, it can dehydrate your body overnight, disrupt circulation, and cause falls or strokes before dawn. Yes, we are talking about asparagus. What you are about to hear will forever change your perception of dinner. Asparagus is tender on the outside, but exhausting on the inside. At first glance, asparagus appears to be one of the most beneficial vegetables. Elegant on the plate and low in calories, it is often included in diets targeted at cleansing the body and improving heart health. Doctors and nutritionists regularly recommend it. Many elderly individuals, having given up heavy meals and processed foods, have made asparagus the foundation of their evening dishes. However, beneath this reputation for purity lies a hidden risk that no one warns about. Asparagus is a natural diuretic. It encourages the body to eliminate water, not only through digestion, but also on a cellular level. During the day, and in moderation, this effect can be helpful, but at night it may cause serious issues. In certain amounts, asparagus can be beneficial, but especially in the evening, it might pose risks, particularly for elderly individuals taking medications for blood pressure, diuretics, or anticoagulants. Asparagus has a dehydrating effect that lowers blood volume and can trigger a chain reaction leading to blood clots and strokes. What exactly happens in the body as we age? After the age of 65, the body's ability to regulate fluid levels worsens. Thirst sensations become less noticeable, and kidney function slows down. Blood vessels, especially small capillaries in the brain, become more fragile and less flexible. When you consume a serving of asparagus in the evening, its gentle but real diuretic action pulls water from the bloodstream. This causes the blood to thicken and increases its viscosity. Imagine a garden hose. The less water inside, the harder it is for the liquid to flow, and thicker blood more easily forms clots, particularly in narrow and aging arteries. These clots are not always noticeable. They can quietly grow and suddenly block a vessel in the brain that was open just the day before. This is what happened with my patient Joan Ramsey, a 79-year-old former school psychologist from Colorado Springs. She was proud of her healthy lifestyle, avoiding red meat, walking daily, and cooking everything herself. Her favorite dinner was steamed asparagus with lemon and a drop of olive oil. "I felt clean," she told me. Joan also took blood pressure medication and suffered from mild atrial fibrillation, both factors that increase clot risk. She rarely drank water in the evening because she was afraid of gaining weight. Getting up at night to use the bathroom and one morning waking up as a different person was shocking. She was confused and could not remember her address. Her speech was slurred and unclear. Her husband immediately called for an ambulance. The scan revealed an ischemic stroke caused by a clot in the speech center of her brain. Blood tests showed elevated hematocrit, severe blood thickening, dehydration, and a drop in circulating blood volume during the night. The doctors connected the dots. Her routine dinners with asparagus, combined with diuretic medications and insufficient water intake, created a perfect storm for disaster. It was not the asparagus itself, but the timing, purity, and interaction with her medications that led to the stroke. After weeks of treatment, Joan recovered but told me unforgettable words. "I thought I was doing everything right, but I was really drying myself out at night. I'm sharing this story not to frighten you, but to help you understand how the body changes after the age of 65. When we are young, kidneys quickly restore water balance, and blood vessels respond flexibly. However, with age, even mild foods can have a strong impact, especially when combined with medications and weakened circulation. If you enjoy asparagus, do not give it up, but never eat it for dinner without drinking enough fluids. Avoid combining it with other diuretics or heart medications without consulting a doctor first. Most importantly, listen carefully to your body while it is whispering to you. Dry mouth, dizziness at night, and morning fatigue may not be just signs of aging, but warnings. And if you thought asparagus was the last healthy vegetable with a dangerous side effect, think again. The following story will make you think even more deeply. We will talk about a substance praised for its benefits to eyesight, skin, and youthfulness. You have encountered it in creams, vitamins, and anti-aging complexes. However, if consumed excessively, especially in older age, it can quietly build up in the brain, cause symptoms resembling a tumor, and affect vision, memory, and even independence. Yes, I am referring to vegetables rich in vitamin A, such as carrots, pumpkin, and especially tomatoes. What you are about to hear might be the most alarming part of this entire story. Tomatoes are often seen as a symbol of freshness and health for many elderly people. Whether sliced in a salad, cooked into a sauce, or simply placed on bread, they appear light, healthy, and pure. For years, we have been told that tomatoes are good for the heart, skin, and eyes, and in a way, that is true. But here is something you may have never heard before. For individuals over 65 years old, particularly those with circulatory, neurological, or digestive issues, tomatoes can subtly trigger a condition that closely mimics a stroke. This happens without a clot or bleeding, but produces the same symptoms. How is this possible? Tomatoes contain histamine, tyramine, and solanine, substances harmless to young and healthy people. But in older adults, the situation is different. Histamines and tyramine can cause inflammation, spikes in blood pressure, and vascular instability, especially in the brain. Meanwhile, solanine acts as a neurotoxin, causing further complications. Found in nightshade vegetables such as tomatoes, eggplants, and potatoes, certain compounds can build up and irritate the nervous system. Adding to this is the acidity of tomatoes, which affects the delicate balance between magnesium and calcium, two crucial minerals involved in transmitting nerve signals and maintaining vascular tone. What results is an internal storm: inflammation, nervous agitation, blood vessel spasms, and electrolyte imbalances. It is no surprise that some elderly individuals experience headaches, blurred vision, slurred speech, numbness, and weakness after a heavy tomato-based meal, symptoms alarmingly similar to those of a stroke. This is not just theory. Let me share the story of Geraldine Hunt, an 83-year-old former piano teacher from Charleston, South Carolina. A lively and spirited woman, she loved gardening and firmly believed in the healing power of food. Every evening she enjoyed a bowl of homemade tomato soup seasoned with garlic and herbs. "It is my ritual," she used to say. Geraldine never smoked, was not overweight, and kept her blood pressure under control. One morning, however, she woke up confused. She suffered from a severe headache, blurred vision, and unclear speech. Her daughter called an ambulance, fearing a stroke. The scan revealed no blood clots or hemorrhages. Her brain appeared normal visually. Yet, blood tests told a different story. Elevated inflammation markers, electrolyte shifts, mild inflammation, and unpredictable narrowing of cerebral vessels. It was not a stroke, but what is known as a stroke mimic. A condition where chemical and vascular changes produce symptoms similar to a true stroke can be frighteningly deceptive. After discussing with the family, it became clear that the nightly tomato soup combined with a low-sodium diet, mild dehydration, and aging blood vessels created a perfect storm. Harold's body simply could not handle the chemical imbalances, and he did not need a clot for his brain to begin suffering. Although his condition improved with treatment, a full recovery was never achieved. His memory became foggy, and anxiety arose before meals. "I thought I was doing everything right," he told me. Yet his body no longer responded as it used to. These words hold an important lesson. After the age of 65, the body undergoes radical changes. What once healed may now irritate, destabilize, or even endanger us. Tomatoes are not evil, but for many older adults, especially those sensitive to nightshades, they should be consumed cautiously. Avoid them before bedtime. Pay attention to your body. Swelling, headaches, and confusion can be signals. If you take medication for blood pressure, heart issues, or the nervous system, always consult your doctor about how tomatoes affect you personally. A single bowl of soup should not cost you mental clarity, but ignoring your body's warnings might lead to that outcome. Harold's story should make you cautious because he is not alone. Many elderly individuals are just one meal away from sudden trouble. Not because of fast food, but because of foods they have trusted all their lives. The ultimate wake-up call is the power of awareness and healing found in simplicity. After everything you have just learned about 9 common vegetables, each carrying its own hidden risk, it is natural to feel surprised and even uneasy. You might be sitting there wondering, how could this be? All my life I believed these were healthy, and now they might cause harm. What is safe to eat now? I want to speak clearly and compassionately. This video is not about fear. It is about knowledge. As a neurologist who has spent decades working with older adults, I have come to realize a profound truth. Your body after 65 is no longer the same as it was at 40 or 50. Your blood vessels have become more sensitive, your hydration needs have shifted, medications interact differently with food, and your brain, the most delicate and vital organ, requires consistent and predictable support, especially during the night. Sometimes, what you consider beneficial silently causes damage. Every story you heard today, from Leon, who collapsed after eating a Romana Dorlan salad, to others who became dehydrated after asparagus, is far from rare. These are ordinary elderly individuals trying to do everything right. They are intelligent, conscientious people who read labels, take vitamins, and follow medical advice. However, they missed one crucial component: context. Health is not just about what you eat. It matters when you eat, how you combine foods, your body's condition, the medications you take, how well you sleep, and how much water you drink. It is about understanding how the brain responds to food as we age. Thick blood tends to form clots more easily, and blood pressure fluctuates during the night. Vessels that used to be flexible gradually become rigid. If you consume foods that thin the blood, raise blood sugar, lower blood pressure, or cause dehydration, even if they are labeled heart healthy or natural, they might quietly increase your risk of stroke, memory loss, or cognitive decline. However, there is encouraging news. You are not powerless. On the contrary, you possess knowledge, and knowledge is a powerful remedy. What steps can you take right now? Start with simplicity. Return to real whole foods similar to what your grandparents ate. Leafy greens in moderate amounts and only when cooked. Berries, nuts, fruits high in water. Content such as melon and watermelon. Lean protein sources like eggs, fish, and poultry. Make your main meal during the daytime. Do not skip drinking water at night. Even half a glass at room temperature before bed can protect the brain's blood vessels. Most importantly, have conversations with your doctor and bring this knowledge along to your appointments. Ask whether a supplement interacts safely with your medications, if eating certain foods in the evening is advisable, or if a product might excessively thin your blood. A good doctor will not dismiss your concerns. They will help tailor your habits to fit your age rather than a generic standard. You are no longer the person you were 30 years ago. This is not negative. Instead, it shows you have grown wiser and more experienced. You can listen to your body while it still whispers, taking preventive action before it cries out. I believe you deserve not just more years of life, but clarity of mind, mobility, memory, and confidence. You deserve mornings free from dizziness and evenings without confusion. You deserve a brain that serves you well, not one quietly slipping away over something as simple as a salad or a snack. That is why I ask you to take one small step today. Maybe you will move salad to lunchtime. Perhaps you will start reading how much vitamin K is in the package. Or maybe you will just drink an extra glass of water before bed. Whatever it is, choose to do it consciously, not out of fear, but from a place of strength. You are not fragile. You awaken in your awareness, your wisdom, and your ability to act. This is your brain's best protection right now. If this message has resonated with you, if it has made you reconsider even one habit, I believe it has already begun to change something for the better. You are never too old to safeguard your future, never too late to become your own strongest ally, and certainly never too wise to stop learning. Let this day be your wake-up call and the next stage of your life the most mindful, protected, and full of understanding. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment with the number 1. If not, write 0. Your feedback matters to us. And don't forget to hit like, share this content with those who might benefit, and subscribe to the Spirit Strength channel. Thank you for your attention and for living a life that you shape according to your own terms. Your choice to embrace your path with intention and resolve is truly admirable. It is inspiring to witness someone take full control of their journey, crafting each moment with purpose. Embracing such autonomy reflects a deep commitment to authenticity and personal freedom. Your decision to live by your own rules is a powerful testament to self-determination and courage.